5 on 8.2 is a continuation of yesterday's instruction, which was find the equation of an ellipse given some information. This is similar to the ones we did back in the parabola section, where the parabola passed through a given point. We had to use the partial standard form equation in order to find the missing piece. That's what's going to happen here. So again, when I see the words find the equation of the ellipse, I immediately go to standard form structure. X minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared is equal to 1. And create that basic structure every single time. My overall goal here is to figure out what h, k, a, and b equal. H equals something, k equals something, a equals something, b equals something, and I may find a squared or b squared. If I do that, that's fine also. Center of the ellipse is 2, 3, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 is the center. That immediately tells me h equals 2 and k equals 3. So anytime they give you the center, that's like extra good because they've given us half the answer already. Minor axis is parallel to the x-axis and of length 8. So the x-axis, minor, length 8, so 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left will represent two vertices. That tells me automatically, therefore, that a is equal to 4. A is always the horizontal distance from a center to a vertex. Take your pick which direction you're going to go. And then finally it passes through the point 5, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right here. That's just a point on the ellipse. So if I were to draw this ellipse out, it would just go through that point. I don't know exactly how high it goes, but it's going to go through that point. All right, that doesn't tell me what B equals. It also doesn't tell me what C equals, so it's not the problem types we had yesterday. Yesterday we got either A and C or B and C. We could use the C squared equals A squared minus B squared or B squared minus A squared formula to find the missing piece. This case, I've got everything I need in the answer except for 1, and I know a point that it passes through. So I'm going to go directly to my standard form equation. And if I replace with H, I'm going to replace 2, K I'm going to replace with 3 from this information. And X I'm going to replace with 5, and Y I'm going to replace with 5 from this information. And A I'm going to replace with 4 from that information. Just like that, the only missing piece would be B, and that's what I'm looking for. So again, if it passes through a point, that's what we're going to do with that point. So if I do this, so I got squared over something plus squared over something, B squared is equal to. So I've got that to begin with. I'm letting B remain a variable because that's what I don't know. 1 equals 1 because it does. I got a parentheses squared or parentheses squared. If I just substitute the numbers in then, X is 5 from the point, minus H, which is 2, is supposed to go over A squared, which would be 16. Y is equal to 5 from the point that it passes through. K equals 3 from the center. That's over B squared equals 1. And just like that, this equation has exactly one variable, the one I'm trying to find. So if I work this out, 5 minus 2 is 3, squared is 9, so I get 9/16. 5 minus 3 is 2, squared is 4, over B squared is equal to 1. Multiply everything by 16B squared to get rid of the fractions. That's going to get me to 9/16 times 16B squared is 9B squared. 4B squared times 16B squared is going to be 64. And 16B squared times 1 is 16B squared. Slide the 9B squared over to the right, subtract, we get 64 is equal to 7B squared. Divide both sides with 7, so B squared equals 64/7. And just like that, B squared equals 64/7, right? So now I've got everything I need to write the standard form of the equation. Then I just write it out. So the answer is going to be parentheses squared with an x over a squared plus parentheses squared with a y over b squared equals 1. That's the basic structure every single time. It's going to be minus h with x. It's going to be minus k with y. A squared is equal to 16 and b squared is 64/7. And again, remember, a is not squared here, so I have to square it. B squared is there, so I just write down what it is. And I do want it over a fraction. I want it written like that for standard form, so there's our equation of ellipses. circle. All right. And just like that, we get our answer. So the problems that you get tonight in this family of problems has the possibility that it's going to be passing through a given point, and that's just how you handle it. Once you find everything but one, use the given point along with what you know in this structure, finding the missing thing at that point, just using basic algebra.